today we're going to talk about debt, and I'm going right out of Dave Ramsey, Financial Peace. Now, I agree a lot with Dave Ramsey. He is a wonderful guy. He seems very sincere about the way he teaches, and I have nothing but good things to talk about him. And we're talking about one section of his book, okay? One section of his book called Dumping Debt. And I'm gonna get right into some of the questions he have. Now, I'm not trying to make this a long video, but please stay with me. You may learn some things here. He says, if you tell a lie or spread a myth often enough, loud enough, and long enough, the myth becomes accepted as the truth. Then he says that has been marketed to us in so many forms and so aggressively since the 1960s that to even imagine living without it requires a complete paradigm shift. So we've been marketed to, advertised to, brainwashed to so much that we think we need debt. And he says it's gonna take a paradigm shift, a transformation of the mind. Now, the first credit card was created back in the 1950s. I forgot the guy's name, but he made the Diners Club card. You remember that? Where you can go to different restaurants in your area and put it on credit. Now, here's some credit card myths that I would just like to read to you so you get the bigger picture of what we're talking about. We're talking about dumping debt. We're talking about cutting off debt. You need a credit card to rent a car or make purchases online. That's a myth. The truth is a debit card would do all of that right here in his Financial Peace. Myth, I pay mine off every month with no annual fee. I get brownie points, air miles, and a free hat. That's a myth. Truth, more than 100 million Americans do not pay off their balance every month. Truth, when you use plastic instead of cash, you spend more money because you don't feel it. Remember I used to tell you those videos a year ago, 2 years ago? Use cash instead of your credit card because you don't see the cash leaving your hand, okay? So when you use your plastic, when you use your credit card, you give them your card and they give it right back. So MIT did a study a couple of years back about when people use cash instead of plastic, that your pain receptors were firing when you let that Ben Franklin go, when you let that George Washington go, Abraham Lincoln, whoever it may be. Hopefully Harriet Tubman is coming here pretty soon. But the point I'm trying to make is, y'all caught that? Here's another myth. I'll make sure my teenager gets a credit card so he or she can learn to be responsible with money. Myth. Truth. Teens are a huge target of credit card companies today. Now, I've told this story and I'm gonna tell it one more time. My freshman year in college, I was receiving all these credit card applications. I filled out the Discover card one. You know where I'm going there with this Ross world. I filled it out and they sent me a card and I had $5,000. I spent $5,000 in 2 to 3 weeks. I rented cars. I rented 2 cars and I threw a huge party 2 weeks in a row that equaled me $5,000. So my freshman year was $5,000 in debt, and I was even on a scholarship. And some of you say, you're stupid, you're dumb, and you're absolutely right. I didn't have the information. And I'm not trying to promote Dave Ramsey, but this is not a bad thing. This program has taught me a lot, guys. That's what I'm telling you guys. I always research. See, who teaches people? Other people teach people. There are some people who probably learning things from me who are also teaching other people about finance. See, there's not one source of money. There's many sources of money. There's many sources of financial information. Now, I'm just combing through this book very, very quickly. There's so many myths. There's only payment. And here's the thing that a lot of people don't like about Dave Ramsey. He believes in zero debt. He believes in zero debt. And I too release videos about good debt and bad debt. And it's something he said that I think he was referencing the Bible. He said, people who borrow money are slaves to the people who lend them money. Some of you know what I'm talking about. That's right out of Proverbs, I believe. People who borrow money are slaves to those who lend money. And here's the thing. FICO means what? Right out of here, guys. FICO means what? I love debt. Remember when you used to date people, or you used to get an apartment, or you used to get a house, you're buying it all on credit, whether it be a car, right? Because nobody wants to save up the money to go buy a car outright. We want that nice, new, crisp, new car smelling right then and there. Nobody don't want to buy no used 2 or 3 on the junk, right? Because we're not willing to sacrifice to have our own. So rather, we will go out and get a loan and pay these guys anywhere from 3% interest to 10% interest or even more to buy a car. We wouldn't want to pay and catch the bus and catch Uber and catch a Lyft and catch a train and struggle for a year or two and buy your car outright. We would rather have people that we actually owe money. This is how they're getting rich. He showed a video in this segment of Dumping Debt about a cheetah and a gazelle. He was saying how the cheetah are the credit card companies or people who borrowers who try to lend you money. They're always after you, right? They're marketing, they're advertising. You got Visa commercials, MasterCard commercials, American Express commercials, and they're teaching us that debt is actually okay. Yeah, go out and just get a small interest loan. Small interest loan. He changed my thinking, guys, in 1 hour. He changed my thinking in 1 hour. Debt is no good. I don't care what type of debt it's good. I remember when I said that house debt, I consider good debt because you're building equity, and when your equity amounts raise the amount you owe on your house, that's good debt. But you still owe somebody some money. Now, who right now is in debt and still saving money? Now, your net worth is not what you think it is, because if you are $25,000 in debt and you have $10,000 in savings, then you are $15,000 in debt. See, here's the thing. You need to make your emergency fund and then aggressively attack your debt. Now, there's one thing that me and him agree on. Always attack your smallest debt, and the amount that you was paying with your smallest debt, use that amount and compound that on the next smallest debt. Meaning, all the other accounts that you have, pay the minimum price until that smallest debt is paid off. Then that amount that you were paying, you drop it out to the next, and you keep compounding, paying off debt. You keep paying off debt after debt until all the debt is gone. Your largest one you pay last, and you're saying, wow, why won't I attack the first one first? Because that's the one I really need to get rid of. But here's the thing, while you're attacking now, it's gonna take you maybe 3-4 years to pay off. All the other ones are eating away at you at interest. And here's the thing, if you're paying the minimum balance of those, the interest and the amount that you owe are getting larger, right? While you're only really paying down one more aggressively. But if you knock those out, you knock out those interest rates, and you knock out the amount you owe, and you'll have less debt. I'm off of that piece, but here's the thing, guy, I no longer believe that any debt is good. Yes, I changed my stance. See, when you hear something so great, when you hear something, the way he worded those things, it made so much sense. He said that FICO, and now the Vantage 3.0, because he didn't add that, I'll add that in. They want you to learn that debt is a good thing, right? Because even in dating, you ever had somebody dating, I said this too, what's your credit score? Dave Ramsey gave a demonstration on stage about when they looked up his credit score, they didn't have enough information because in the last 6 months, they compile your scores of different areas, right? And he showed and displayed how each part of that has to do with that. Let me get to that right here, right? Look at that, guys. I wrote down debt beside each one of those because it's about new credit. Let me just read it to you really quick. 35% payment history, 30% debt level, 15% length of history, 10% new credit, 10% type of credit. So here's the thing, payment history is 35%. How much have you been on time making your payments of paying somebody else? Debt, right? Because debt means you owe somebody. 30% debt level. How much debt do you have and how much you're managing it? 15% length of history of debt. All this has to do with debt, and we use this, right? Because I talked to a friend of mine today. Let me get through this. 10% new credit, meaning you're going out to get more debt. 10% type of credit. Now you have all these different types of debt. I never really thought about that. And I talked to a friend of mine today and I asked him the question. I said, what do you think FICO really is? He said, oh man, it's your credit score so I can go out and buy a car. I said, well, if there was no credit, could you go buy a car? He was like, he had paused for a second. And I said, well, let me finish it for you. Yes, you could. You just have to save up the money. I said, the things that we doing now is we have a good job, but we have a decent job and we want it right now. We're not willing to sacrifice. I remember catching the bus in DC when I didn't make enough money and I could have been saving money up for a car. I remember catching the metro, the train in DC, the subway. I could have been saving money up for a car. And I remember my first car was a 1985 Nissan Sentra that I paid working my summer job for $600. It didn't make it to college my first year. But nonetheless, it was mine. I paid it off. And I don't even remember using that. And I should have used that a couple of years back when I bought my car in 2015. See, here's the thing, guys. When you learn something, that doesn't mean that you should turn a shy eye away because you don't agree. This is the truth, guys. It hurt me. I was sitting there looking at this video. I was going through this class. I was sitting there looking at this video and I was like, man, I don't want to do that. So you know what I did, right? You know what I did? I took out my 3 credit cards. I took out my Capital One Venture card. I took out my Navy Federal card, and I took out my other credit card, and I cut them all up right after the video. I cut them up. He was on stage cutting up different people's credit cards and credit cards and credit cards, and I did the same thing. And I felt so attached to this plastic, and people in the class too, they were like, oh man, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. And some of them didn't do it, but about 3 or 4 of us did. See, my thing is, I can't learn new information because the first step, right, the first step is admitting that you have a problem. Then the second step is going towards a change. So I knew that, you know what, I had been looking at that entirely wrong. I've been looking at that as a tool to get what I want. And here's another thing he brought up, the Forbes 400 list, the most wealthiest and richest people in America, the Forbes 400 list. They did a survey and they asked them, they said, what's the #1 thing that can make people wealthy? And I'm paraphrasing here, guys. They said have 0 debt and then start to build your wealth. 75% of them says 0 debt. Even they know have 0 debt. And a lot of you can contest to this, that a lot of rich people, they don't even buy new cars. They buy used cars and they pay them off right then and there. And somebody's looking at this video like, man, I really want a car. And I'm here to tell you, keep riding your bike, keep riding your skateboard, keep using the metro, keep using the bus, the transit, whatever you have in your area. And the amount of money that you're gonna pay for that car a month will either be $250 or $450 or even $500. Put it to the side in a high-yield savings account and pay for that car in anywhere from 10 to 18 months. Yeah, 1 to 2 years. You've been doing it this long already, and it pretty much goes for anything, guys. Now, I'm granted, like, I done sold 3 houses, right? And I'm thinking, if I go out and buy a house, there's no way I have $100, $200, $350,000 that I can actually go out of my IRAs and my savings and my investments to buy a home. So that's still teeter-tottering on my mind about what I should do. But when it comes to credit cards, and he had said this, in his pocket, he has his ID card and 2 debit cards. He used credit for absolutely nothing. And that is the way that we should think, because we think that we need credit in order to obtain things we can't afford. Think about it, home on it, ponder on it. I want you to grasp this concept. We use credit for things we can't really afford. Then you're saying, well, I can't really afford it right now. Well, if you can't afford it right now, do you deserve it right now? Should you have it right now? Or should you work your butt off and save the money and pay for it outright? I remember when I was in my early 20s, I remember going out to Court Furniture and I was renting furniture. Renting furniture instead of buying piece by piece by piece. Now granted, in my late 20s, I started doing that very thing. I had me a blow-up air mattress, and I bought a couch, I bought a love seat, I bought a bed, and I bought a headboard, and I bought a TV, and I paid for it all in cash. My stance on debt has changed because of this man right here. And I'm not afraid. You know, I don't have any cut cards. I'm not a proudful guy. When I learn something, this is totally awesome, guys. This information has transformed my mind somewhere out in the galaxy, because I no longer look at debt as a tool. I no longer look at debt as something that we all should always have. Like, we're always gonna have a car note. You're always gonna have a house mortgage. No, you're not. You only want a car note because you want another car. You only have a car note because you can't wait. You don't have the discipline. So here's the thing. Be disciplined, struggle, keep that bucket. Keep that little saggy bag card that you have right now. Saggy bag, I don't know where that came from. But here's the thing. There's so many things out there, guys. If I go through this and I tell you, and I'm not trying to promote this guy, I'm not affiliated with him, that's my disclaimer. He doesn't know me, but here's the thing. When I find out great information, I let you guys know. I let you guys know the books that I read. And there's another book that I wrote down in here that I'll let you guys know. And here's another thing to put out, and I'm gonna go right back to these car myths again. Leasing your car is what sophisticated financial people do. You should always lease things that go down in value. There are tax advantages. That is a myth. Here's the truth. Consumer Reports, Smart Money Magazine, and a good calculator will tell you that your car lease is the most expensive way to finance and operate a vehicle. Myth. You can get a good deal on a new car. The truth. A new car loses about 60 to 70% of its value in the first 4 years. This is the largest purchase most consumers make that goes down in value, right? Because some of us like, man, I never had a new car, I never had this. And in the first 4 years of that car, it goes down 60 to 70% of its value. And then you know how some people say, oh, I have a BMW, I have an Audi, I have this, I have that, I have an Acura, and it holds its value. It does not, because when you look at the math, guys, it holds its value in what way? Are you using that car as collateral or leverage to get another car that's going to get you back in another loan? Because here's the thing, it holds its value. You don't use that car and say, hey, this car has held its value. I bought it for 40 10 years ago and it's still worth 30. You've never heard that. No, you have not. You haven't heard a car only losing $10,000 after 10 years, only $1,000 a year. No, I bought my car and I want to say 3 years or 4 years after. Let's say, for instance, if you bought a car at $40,000, I bet you it's probably worth under $26,000 now if you bought it at 40. And it's only a 3-year-old car. Do the math. But the point of this, guys, we have to attack that more aggressively. I just have so much information that I want to give to you, and just bear with me. I know the video is kind of long, but here's the thing. Here's a book called Stop Acting Rich. I forgot the author's name, but the name of the book is Stop Acting Rich. Now, I want you to go out and I want you to take this information and I want you to rewind and play back this video, and hopefully I didn't blur through this so fast that you can't get the concept that any debt is bad debt. You may not agree with me, but hopefully when you hear the truth, that your mind starts to change. And you know how, if you're one of the ones like myself where you want to lose weight, you've been trying to lose weight, you know, I used to lift weights heavy, then I stopped because I got injured, and then I'm gaining all this weight. And you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. You look at yourself in the mirror, you don't look good with baby oil anymore. You got more rolls than lumps, you know, because rolls is soft and lumps could be hard. This is the point I'm trying to make. That's where I'm at with my finances when it comes to debt. I do good on savings. I do good on investing. And I've been paying down my debt. You know, we did that debt down video, but now the way I think about it, FICO means I love debt. Your credit score. You wait on all these things to fix our credit score, all the while continue to take out loans so we can get low interest to old people for years. You get what I'm trying to say? Or you get what I'm trying to say? We're working on our credit score, so later on in life, we can go ask somebody for thousands of dollars where we should be saving thousands of dollars to pay for things outright. If you want more money, guys, zero debt, get a side hustle, work a part-time job next to your full-time job, invent something, invest your money in index and ETF funds. This debt thing is no longer fun, guys. It's no longer fun. And he changed my mind, and hopefully using his information and his tool, that Ross World has changed your mind. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and head over to Dave Ramsey's channel and look for zero debt videos. So hopefully he did something similar to what he did in his financial piece about dumping debt to transform your mind the way he is doing mine. I'm only on step 3 or 4. I got 3 or 4 more steps because it's 7 steps, baby steps of financial peace. And I advise you, if you have access, if your job is offering this, if you can get it, then go through it and hopefully it change your life as well. And through this year, as I said, we're talking about saving, but as I do investing in debt videos, we're going to continue to do those things. But dump your debt, cut your credit cards, and now hopefully you think of debt in a total different way. Learn money and be inspired. This is Ross World. I'm out.